I have heard the name of Aramis Ramirez, and
I heard
I
that
kind
too.
of see that a little bit. I've seen that on Twitter, where he's got power, he's a good fielder, and that could be a name that I could see.
Cubs fans, Setup Nation, I am really, really excited about this topic, and I'm really excited about who's joining us today. We have Sam Weiderhaft from the Pelicans. He is the broadcaster for the Pelicans. He's also got a podcast, in case you didn't know, Pelicans Road Trip Podcast. If you are interested in learning more about the players down on the farm at Single A with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, go check out that podcast. But Sam, great to have you on. We're talking Cam Smith today. I didn't expect to be talking to you so soon about Cam Smith, but here we are. Thanks for joining, man.
Absolutely, Kyle. Like you said, a lot sooner than expected, but it's really exciting things. And how can you not talk about Cam Smith after the crazy week that he just had?
Well, and it's wild, man. First 9 games, right? He's kind of struggling. You got to see him once at Myrtle Beach. I think you told me, he hit an RBI triple, but batting average under 150 in the first 9 games. Last 6 games, it's video game numbers, right? 6 home runs, OPS over 2,000. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. And I kind of feel bad for you, though. You didn't get to see Matt Shaw in Myrtle Beach last year. Now you didn't get to see a single home run in person from Cam Smith. Like, do you feel like you're getting robbed over there?
Oh, man, add that to the list. When we had PCA 2 years ago, I think he hit 1 home run in Myrtle Beach and like 6 of them on the road. His first home run as a Cubs organization player was an inside the park home run on the road. So there's a lot of big things that happen on the road, but also, we've had some good moments back at home as well. But just to be able to see Cam for a week, I think is just a lot better than what most people get. So getting to meet him for the short time that I did and seeing the kind of person he is and getting a really impression of who he is as a person was really cool.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. One of the things that stuck out to me, 2 things in the first press conference that you saw with a lot of the Cubs media and him kind of doing a selfie video. Number 1 was the flash. He's got the gold chain. He's got the movie star glasses, but also he's very well spoken for a 21-year-old. And Bruce Levine even asked him a question about that. What did you experience? Did you see the flash? Did you see the maturity? What can you say that you saw from him?
Not too much flash when he was playing here in Single A, but the well-spoken thing. He is such a mature person, and he's got media training from his time at Florida State, so that definitely helps, and he's ahead of the curve as far as that. But I'll tell you a story. My first ever road trip in 4 years here, full week road trip, was down east, which was in early August, and it was Cam's first trip. That was when he got to us. That was his first trip, and that Tuesday, I'm hanging out in the clubhouse, and usually what I do with the new players is I go up and introduce myself and say, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Sam. I'm the broadcaster." Cam comes up to me, and I'm sitting there in the middle of the clubhouse, and he goes, "Hey, I'm Cam Smith." And I go, "Cam, I'm Sam. Great to meet you." And I've never had that happen with a player before. So that kind of shows you just his relatability and, kindness, but also just super coachable. During that road trip in down east, we barely got to play. We played 16 of what could have been 54 innings. A lot of postponements, cancellations, but there was a lot of time in the batting cage. And Cam was there. He was listening to our hitting coach, Roberto Vaz. He was listening to our manager, Buddy Bailey, and just trying to take everything in. And I think that's what led to this kind of week that he had in Charleston. That those first few weeks, there's definitely an adjustment. You come from college pitching, all of a sudden you're facing professional pitching, which is a huge jump. So he's working out through those kinks and striking out a little bit, but he's getting more experience and seeing more pitches, and then uses those tools and the facets that he already has, the abilities that he has, and also the coaching as well from the Cubs organization, and just goes off in Charleston.
I would imagine, just kind of bouncing off what you said there, Myrtle Beach being the low A for the Cubs, a lot of the guys are still probably like stars in their eyes, can't believe that they are starting their professional career, and probably a little caught in the moment to even be thinking about, what can I go learn from this coach? They're probably still just like trying to take it all in. Is that kind of what you've seen? Am I off on that thought?
Oh, no, it's definitely a whirlwind, especially for the draft guys. When they're playing their college seasons until May and sometimes early June, and then the draft in mid-July, and all of a sudden, you're in a brand new organization. 2 weeks later, you're at a city that you've probably never been to. And there's a lot of new stuff being thrown at you. But Cam handled it super well. And he very much had like a grind mindset where he was like, all right, I'm here in Myrtle Beach. Like, I'm going to do my work. And and work up to that next level. And it certainly paid off. But yeah, I mean, you definitely have a lot of guys that are, exposed to professional baseball for the first time. For a lot of the players outside the U.S., they're exposed to media for the first time. So that's,
Yeah, for sure.
a big part of my job is getting them used to that and, kind of entering them into that world. But yeah, it's a big, it's a level of introductions because you're experiencing everything for basically the first time. But Cam handled it all super well, and I have no doubt he's going to, continue to win the fans over as he moves up through the levels.
And I got to ask you, you didn't get to see any home runs in games, but I'm sure you probably saw some batting practice. One of the things that stuck out to me in these home runs in games is it's to the alleys. This sixth home run in his sixth game was to the right center field alley. Was that kind of what you were seeing in batting practice? Is that the kind of power that you think we can come to expect from this guy?
He certainly has power to all fields. And,
Okay.
that's something that's not typical in single A. You have a lot of righties that are pulling everything to left field, and Cam was going everywhere. Definitely saw that a lot in batting practice. And even that RBI triple that he had in the opener of our home series against Columbia, that was to right center field. So you never really know where it's going. But I think the most impressive thing that I saw from Cam watching the broadcast when they were in Charleston was the consistent exit velos, the consistent distances. I mean, he was hitting every ball over 400. It seemed like over 420 feet. And the exit velos were always over 100. So he was on it from the jump. Not only that, but also the ability to catch up to the high fastball, which is something that players at this level have a really hard time doing. And sometimes it takes almost a full season to get that one down. With Cam Smith, it was only the matter of a couple of weeks. And he was able to hammer those high fastballs up in the zone and take him out of the ballpark.
Well, it's kind of when you look at the numbers, especially from his college days, and you look at this kind of first week and a half of single A compared to this last week, you can see that a lot like you don't want to start comparing him to PCA, but one of the big things about PCA is that he has adjusted very quickly at all the levels that he went to. When you look at Cam Smith, he had a almost 30% strikeout rate in his first year over at Florida State, dropped that down to 15%, under 15% in his second year. And so I think that's one of the things that if you've seen guys go through the system, is that to you even more than the tangibles of their, their arm, their contact, their power, all of the things that you can put on a scouting report, is the ability to make adjustments fast what you've seen for guys that eventually make it up from Myrtle Beach all the way to the majors?
Yeah, those are the ones that you can tell are going to make it pretty far is when they, maybe have a bad series of games and they come back with a different mentality. They've made their adjustments and they're ready to go. The Carolina League is notoriously a strikeout. It's a pitcher-friendly league. You see a lot of strikeouts in the Carolina League, and especially with the age of the players, and they're just not very experienced. And like I said, with Cam, those first couple of weeks, he was striking out a bit too much, but it was his first introduction into professional baseball. He makes those adjustments, turns it around, and I think I saw a stat that he had more home runs than swings and misses this past week.
Wow.
The one thing
That's
that I've
insane.
learned being at this level now for 4 years is to just not get my expectations too high. Obviously, a great week for Cam. He's going to do great in High A South Bend. But it's you got to stay level-headed, right? And not too much, not to put too much pressure on the kid. And he's not going to do that every week, but certainly to have an introduction like that and to really get Cubs fans to know who he is was remarkable to see.
One of the questions, and it depends on kind of which article you look up, but some of them say, he's a definite third baseman of the future for the Cubs. And then others say, unless he starts working on his conditioning, he might be a little bit more of a corner outfielder because of how good his arm is, but he doesn't have the best speed. So what did you see just from the glove, the defensive side? I think it was about 10 games as the third baseman, about 4 or 5 as DH during his time there. What did you see from a fielding perspective?
Certainly has the arm. I mean, the ball just zips off his hand. He made some pretty impressive plays in the home series that we got him for. Just charging in, making barehanded plays, and accurate throws to first. So there's no doubt if he has to go to the outfield that arm is going to carry him through. I think it's just a matter of, what's going to slot open and what do the Cubs need in the long term, because, there are some options at third base and, the infield's pretty stacked. The outfield's pretty stacked in the system right now with Owen Casey and Kevin Alcantara waiting in the wings. So it's just a matter of, what does the organization need right now? But he plays a great third base from what I've seen. Very clean, a really good glove, and, certainly can stay there in the future.
Here's a question for you. I watched his press conference, and he said that one guy he models himself after is Corey Seager. That's his favorite player. One of the things he said was just, hey, he's got that poker face, and you can't tell if he's going 0 for 4 or 4 for 4. You saw some struggles from him early on. Did you see enough of that to be able to see how he takes the pressure, how he takes adversity when he's not doing well?
Yeah, I was able to see him just continue to have a positive attitude and, show up to the field the next day and, wipe the slate clean and come back. It's a new day, a new mentality. And that's the one thing that really, stuck out to me about him was just his ability to be positive no matter what the situation. And he did show some positive emotion on the RBI triple that we saw him for in that first game against Columbia. He was, yelling over at third base, really hyped up. But he was really bought in. We are in the middle of a playoff race right now where we're 4.5 games back of a playoff spot with 12 or 13 more games to play. And Cam was bought in. I mean, he was ready to win for this team and, just had a really, really strong mentality. So I think as the years go on and he moves up through this system, that's going to stay. And, talking with our manager, Buddy Bailey, who's been a manager now for 36 years, he's telling me that Cam has all the intangibles. So he has every making of a major league star in the future, I believe.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, Cubs fans love to know, what should I expect, right? And I want to know, if you were to just look at the makeup of this guy, who, as a either former Cub or even a former or current MLB guy, would you kind of compare him to? He's got the size. He's 6'3", 220. He's got the plus power. He doesn't run all that well, but he definitely has some things about him that show that, he could be producing, at least from the plate, from a major league perspective here in the next couple of years. Who would you kind of like profile that next to as a like for like comp?
And this is where you're going to learn about me, Kyle. My comparisons are awful. So I
Okay.
I am not. The way that I see players is it's just like everyone's unique in their own ability, and it's tough to kind of put him up to a what could be. I have heard the name of Aramis Ramirez, and I kind of see that a little bit. I've seen that on Twitter, where he's got power, he's a good fielder, and that could be a name that I could see. So yeah, but he definitely has a lot of skills that could provide a lot of help for Cubs teams in the future. The power is certainly there. The contact, hopefully, he doesn't strike out too much as he moves up through the levels. But I can see him being a special player in Chicago.
That's awesome, man. Anything else that we need to know about Cam Smith as he gets to move up to high single A now with South Bend?
Just get ready and enjoy the ride. We've had a lot of great players come through this organization, whether it was Matt Mervis a couple of years ago or Matt Shaw and what he's done in the system. It's fun to watch these guys have success and continue to make adjustments throughout the levels and join new teams, but still keep that success going. I think about James Triantos. He was here a couple of years ago and had a big season last year. So it's fun, and we really enjoy watching these guys mature, not only on the field but off the field as well. So I think Cubs fans are going to love Cam Smith if they don't already. And it was honestly a blessing to be able to see him for a couple of weeks.
All right, guys, and make sure that you're checking out the Pelicans games. Listen to Sam on the radio, but also if you just want to get to know a lot of these players, make sure you're checking out the podcast, Pelican Road Trip podcast. And of course, as always, check out Sam on Twitter. Sam, thanks so much, man. Really excited to see what happens with Cam here as he makes that next step.
Me as well. Kyle, thanks for having me.